Is up next. Julie Banderas is in for Harris. Here's Julie.
Fox News alert, a liberal media meltdown over the possibility that Elon Musk might bring free speech to Twitter. Imagine that. This is the Faulkner Focus. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Julie Banderas in for Harris today. So Tesla's CEO is saying that he is willing to pay $43 billion to buy out Twitter and make it a private company. But the social media giant is reportedly considering a so-called poison pill strategy to stop Musk from taking over. Musk has even teased a plan B if his offer is rejected, though he's not really quite going into details. There's a headline in the Wall Street Journal, and it points out this, that Elon Musk contends censorship, not abuse, is Twitter's problem, adding he doesn't care about making money from the business, but cares about freedom. Musk doubled down on those points yesterday.
I think it's very important for there to be an inclusive arena for free speech, where all, it's important to the function of democracy. It's important to the function of the United States as a free country and many other countries, and to help freedom in the world.
Imagine that, free speech. Some in the media, though, are in total freak-out mode over this, and some point out the tech industry was never meant to be a place for censorship.
It's kind of funny. Elon Musk wants to buy it, but there are massive life and globe-altering consequences for just letting people run wild on the thing.
Silicon Valley advertised itself as a free-spirited counterculture that turned into a monopoly, and not just a monopoly, but a political monopoly.
Mark Thiessen, Fox News contributor, former White House speechwriter, and Washington Post columnist, joins us. It is a laughing matter, actually, at this point. I mean, it's actually hysterical. Historian Victor Davis Hanson points out that Silicon Valley was originally advertised as a, quote, free-spirited counterculture, but is now transformed into a liberal political monopoly. What do you make of Twitter reportedly considering using the so-called poison pill protocol to kill Elon Musk's bid to take over the social media platform?
Yeah, it's very troubling. I mean, look, here the problem. It's funny how the left suddenly hates billionaires. You know, they loved Elon Musk when he was the guy who was making electric cars cool, but then all of a sudden he turned on them and started advocating for all of the above fossil fuel exploration here during this crisis. And now he's trying to take over Twitter, and they don't like it because it's their personal playground. So they're trying to stop him. The board has a fiduciary responsibility to its shareholders to accept his offer if that's what's in the best interest. They can't just simply say we don't want Elon Musk to own the company. So if they try to, he's saying that he's got a plan B, that if they turn down his offer, what he can do is he can go around them and make the offer directly to his shareholders, and shareholders can sell their stock directly to him, and he can get a controlling interest. Yeah. You know, this is going to be very hard for them to turn this down, especially since Twitter has lost $1.3 billion in the last 2 years, and he's offering $15 premium on top of what the trading price was when he bought his stock. So it's going to be very hard for them from a financial perspective to stop him.
You know you're rich when you're offering $43 billion to buy a company, but I don't care about making money from that business. I'm just going to throw in 43 Bs. But, you know, he wants to, you know, express freedom of speech for those who do not have that freedom. And obviously he's talking about conservatives who are essentially muted on Twitter, on Facebook. You know, there is a double standard. There's a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to liberals wanting to have free speech as long as it agrees with their theories, if you will. And what do you make of the liberal media freaking out? Because obviously they believe in free speech, right? As long as it doesn't include conservatives.
No, that's exactly right. So look, I mean, you obviously don't want Twitter to be a complete open forum, because then we'd have jihadist beheading videos on, and pornography and everything else that goes on. No one wants Twitter to become a sewer. But what the problem has been is the liberal bias in Twitter, that they have been silencing conservative speech. Like they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story and other news like that. They suppressed the Wuhan lab leak theory, which turned out to be true. So they've gotten it wrong. And the problem is, for a lot of liberals think that conservative speech is just as offensive as jihadist beheading videos and pornography. They like the liberal bias in Twitter, and they don't want him to end it. And the other thing that a lot of conservatives have suspected is that there's the algorithms of Twitter have a liberal bias. And one of the things he's proposed is transparency. He's going to open source the algorithm so that any developer, anybody can look at the code and see how it functions. And they don't want that to happen because that will expose the fact that they've programmed the system to suppress conservative speech, and he will end that and expose it and allow people to see the algorithm.
For sure. You write, by the way, in a new op-ed that President Biden's attempts to shift blame for sky-high inflation are failing. And I'm going to quote you: Americans believe Biden's policies are a disaster and his efforts to convince them otherwise are backfiring. The only thing people hate more than a failed president is a failed president who lies to them. Now, the White House is appearing to point a finger now, this is the latest blame game, right, to Texas Governor Greg Abbott for causing delays and raising prices by ordering enhanced inspection of all trucks coming in from Mexico. Seems rational, right? Well, here's Press Secretary Jen Psaki defending those comments. Watch.
So is the White House blaming Greg Abbott for inflation?
Well, I think we're trying to state the facts of what another political stunt that we're seeing happen and the impact of it.
So does the president then acknowledge any responsibility for the inflation that we're seeing now based on the decisions that he's made when he came into office?
Well, I would say, as the president has talked about quite a bit, there are a range of factors, including the pandemic, the impact on the supply chains.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The White House is now including Texas Governor Abbott's truck inspections in its lists of culprits. Those culprits include Putin, COVID, oil companies, Abbott. When is Biden finally going to take responsibility for inflation's 40-year high?
Yeah, Putin and Abbott, very similar, yeah. Look, American people aren't stupid. They know that before Putin started massing his forces on Ukraine's border, that we had the highest rise in gas prices year over year in over 3 decades. They know that before Putin started massing his forces on Ukraine's border, we had the highest inflation in 4 decades. So they understand, of course, that the war and what Putin's doing has contributed to inflation and rising gas prices, but they were already high beforehand. It would be one thing when Biden took office, gas was about $2.40 a gallon. If all of a sudden it went up to $3.50 because of the war or $3, then people would say, okay, that's a price I'm willing to pay